Betty Boop is the animated ravishing cartoon icon created in the early 1930s that stood out because of her in-your-face depiction of unashamed sexuality. Betty Boop went on to become one of the best-known and most popular cartoon characters in the world. And today, while many people around the world see Betty Boop as a self-confident rebel that harnessed her feminine energy to push boundaries and reimagine what female characters could do on screen, very few of us know the truth about the inspiration behind this iconic character, or why some people think that the original Betty Boop was black.
I was just looking up on my phone to see the origin of Betty Boop, and you know what, honestly, I know a lot of old people, and none of them could tell me that Betty Boop was originally black.
What? It's Justin Diego back with another binge-worthy video. And today, let's talk about the dark and shady history of Betty Boop.
Boop boop beep.
So, is Betty Boop black, you ask? Well, yes and no. While some people would definitely argue that Betty Boop is absolutely a black woman, the moral of today's story is imitation is absolutely the most sincerest form of flattery.
Pardon?
If you're a millennial of a certain age like yours truly, you probably remember bits and pieces of the Betty Boop cartoons the way that you probably remember bits and pieces of that Nickelodeon show, Taina.
What's my name? It's so amazing, and I would play it again and again and again and again.
You probably can't remember exactly what you loved about it, but you do remember knowing that it was great.
Girl, you make me so proud, and I love you.
Yeah, when I initially found out about Betty Boop potentially being a sister, I assumed that the original Betty Boop cartoons featured a black cartoon woman at first, and over time, they decided to change the color of her skin.
Really?
Because in my opinion, that black wavy or curly hair definitely felt like an old nasty finger wave hairstyle that has always been iconic in the black community.
That is too cute.
And to be honest, in black and white videos, it's easy for the actual color of a character's skin to get lost in the process.
Girl, what's going on?
But no, the actual story of how Betty Boop got reimagined is way more fascinating and honestly, so much more disrespectful.
No, it's true. And the truth is like, you know, just...
When Max Fleischer of Fleischer Studios first debuted Betty Boop in the 1930s, the character looked quite different. Yes, Betty Boop was originally a dog. And somehow this makes me even more offended. But yeah, over time, her look continued to evolve, where her childlike big head and oversized eyes, along with her suggestive clothes and small frame, somehow brought all the boys to the yard. Yeah, it's really hard for me to imagine that people were actually turned on by this show. And before long, Betty Boop became well known for her cute catchphrase. Betty Boop continued to grow in popularity and starred in over 100 cartoons where she stood out as a stark contrast to her contemporaries like Minnie Mouse. People just couldn't get enough of her unique portrayal of women, and her creator, Max Fleischer, was cashing in big time. And this is where the tables started to turn. Around this time, American singer and actress Hellen Kane was going through a bit of financial hardships, and she grew envious of Max Fleischer's success with Betty Boop. Now, apparently, it was common knowledge back then that the Betty Boop character was in some ways a parody of Hellen's entire swag. From the look, the way she sounded all squeaky and babyish, and apparently back then, Betty Boop's iconic boop oop a doop was inspired by Hellen's very own boopation. So after a while, Hellen went full-blown Karen on Max and notoriously sued Fleischer Studios in 1932 for allegedly stealing her singing style and her iconic catchphrase, which Hellen claimed that she had invented herself.
They will try to hide the sun, posing as the moon. They will try to score their points, stumping over you. There's no use in trying to save the day, 'cause superheroes flew, they flew away.
This case was extremely high profile, and everyone thought that this case could not get any more ridiculous, as these white folks were really in here arguing about a cartoon character.
There's no use in trying to save the day, 'cause superheroes flew, they flew away.
And then the ball dropped. It was revealed that Hellen Kane had actually stolen the identity of a black up-and-coming Harlem singer named Ester Jones, also known as Baby Ester, who was the originator of the sound, image, and the original boo-op-isms that Hellen had the nerve to be sitting here trying to defend.
Oh, please, tell me I'm sleeping. Tell me I'm sleeping. Pinch me to kill. Pinch me to kill. Till I can
There'll be no more boo-boo-ba-doo out of you!
Don't take my boo-boo-ba-doo away.
No, but for real though, the constant blatant erasure of black women, black culture, and black excellence is extremely disrespectful, and honestly, it's so exhausting at this point. And even still, it's hard to only place blame on the creator of Betty Boop. Yes, they did alter history, and in doing so, they assisted in the destruction of black culture. However, it's not like Hellen's intention was to have Fleischer Studios give black influential jazz icons their rightful credit here. Instead, Hellen tried to pass off Ester's entire swag as her own. And because of things like this, to this day, it's hard to even find confirmed photos or any recordings of Ester Jones. And sadly, although we had the testimony from Ester Jones's manager in court that eventually caused Hellen to lose the case, Ester Jones herself never actually testified in the lawsuit. And when this case was over, Ester Jones was still not giving her respected dues. I can't help but wonder what Betty Boop would look like today if the studio had actually embraced the fullness of Ester Jones as inspiration for the Betty Boop character with full-blown credit. I also wonder what if Baby Ester would have sued Fleischer Studios to gain rights to the Betty Boop empire after the initial lawsuit revealed the truth. So is Betty Boop actually black? Hell no. But the things that we grew to love about her, the voice, the vibes, and the iconic Boop-isms was inspired by a talented, powerful black woman who was well respected amongst elite black entertainers. Ester Jones was simply sharing her art and minding her business before having her entire image just stolen, and it's that image that is still making the current owners of the Betty Boop empire millions till this day.
I'm tired of being broken. tired of not knowing where I fit.
Thanks so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I could not leave without giving out a cute little Betty Boop moment. But no, seriously, I've been wanting to share this story for over a year now, and I finally decided to just do it. It was really cool that while I was working on this video in silence, Chloe Bailey, out of nowhere, definitely must have been feeling the vibes because she came through for Halloween with big Betty Boop energy, and it honestly made me feel like I was supposed to make this video, y'all. So I hope that you guys love it, and honestly, if you appreciate amplifying Black voices like this, please like and share this video as many times as you can, because it really honestly helps me out a lot. I also want to know, what do you guys think about this story? And please do not leave this video without telling me, after everything that we talked about today, do you feel like Betty Boop is Black or not?
Never again will I accept disrespect or fall victim to selfish neglect. Mad at me when it's evil you project. I'm coming hard body, ain't no time to half step. Principalities wanna see me down. Holy Ghost with me, I'm so profound. Can't go back now, can't cop my style. Wanna steal my sound, here's your red-nosed clown. Oh, am I supposed to be happy cause you invited me to the party? Looking in the mirror, uplifting myself.
Don't worry, little shorty, it'll be alright.
I'm tired of being broken about this. I'm tired of not